Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea Show here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an honor and a privilege to have you joining me here today on the show. Whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. A little trailer dropped this morning that I don't think many people were expecting. So got a whole bunch of ground to cover. So here's how today's show is going to go. I'm going to start off by talking about a couple of items in the world of movie news. Obviously, one might be referring to Black Panther. And then I'm going to go to the topics and the questions that you guys have sent in to me. Now, how do you get a topic or a question on the John Campea Show? It's pretty simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Send on in your email, and this part is important, guys. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. Once again, make sure you put that word topic in the subject line. And also make sure if you email in a topic or a question that you keep your email to 90 words or less. It's the only way I have time to read them and the only way I can actually physically fit them on the screen. Now, for those of you watching live, I am then going to save a few minutes at the end of the show to take some of your live questions via Twitter. How will you get those live questions to me? It's simple. You jump on Twitter and you tweet to me at John Campea, and maybe you will see your tweet pop up on my screen. Now, for those of you who are regulars of watching the John Campea Show live, you'll notice we started today's show late. That's because a little trailer dropped this morning known as Black Panther, and I wanted to do my review of that video rather quickly. So my review for the Black Panther trailer is now up. It's online. It's on my YouTube channel. You can check that out a little bit later, but it's there now. And wow. Just wow. Now, I won't rehash my entire review of the Black Panther trailer. I'll just say that one of the things that I mentioned was that first Black Panther trailer blew my expectations away. I was expecting it to be good. You know, Ryan Coogler's directing. You got Michael B. Jordan in there. You got Chadwick Boseman in there. I was expecting it to be good, but that first trailer really blew away my expectations. And I think this trailer blows that trailer away. I love the fact that it gave us more of the story. We now understand what this movie is more about, and we still got 4 months to go between now and February 16th when this movie finally comes out. Actually, it's 4 months exactly now. Is it October, November, December, January? Yeah, 4 months exactly to the day that this movie opens on February 16th. And I'm sure we'll get more stuff in there as well. But a couple of things that highlights to me, and again, I mentioned some of this in my trailer review, but was the fact that clearly Wakanda is the MacGuffin, if you will. Wakanda is the key player in this thing. This movie is really all going to be about Wakanda. And you got a sense that Wakanda would be a part of the movie in the last trailer. This trailer made it really seem, no, this movie's all about Wakanda. And as a result, whoever controls Wakanda is probably going to control the world. That's pretty key. Michael B. Jordan looks amazing in it. I was just flabbergasted with it. But anyway, I'm not going to go too much more into that because I talked about it in my review, which is also on my YouTube channel. But what also dropped is this brand new poster. I will tell you this. I am not thrilled with this poster, but at least it's an improvement on that last poster. Remember that last poster that was one of the most brutally awful photoshops ever? Where it's just, you know, T'Challa sitting in his throne, and clearly they just photoshopped Chadwick Boseman's head on a painted body of something. I mean, whatever, it looked ridiculous. It was a terrible poster. Thankfully, they dropped that poster and everybody was talking about how bad it was. And like 12 hours later, they dropped the trailer. So everybody stopped talking about the poster, which was good. This poster is an improvement. I mean, it's better. I don't like it though, to be honest with you. Listen, I don't hate it. I don't hate the poster. I'm not thrilled with the poster. But ultimately, what's more important, the poster or the trailer? Clearly, the trailer. And with this trailer, Marvel, Black Panther, they have knocked it out of the park. It looks like this is going to be a really good standalone movie that sits very comfortably within the MCU. And again, look, I just don't know what it is with Marvel and their properties, or Disney and their properties. Whether it's Marvel or Lucasfilm, they just feel this need to put, hey, we've got this poster, put every single person who could possibly appear in this movie on the poster. Now, at least, and they did that, remember, with The Last Jedi, not The Last Jedi, with the Force Awakens trailer, or the Force Awakens poster. And I was not thrilled with the poster. At least this new The Last Jedi poster it's a little bit more confined because in the Force Awakens poster, it went like edge to edge, just packed with people. The Last Jedi poster is a bit of an improvement because it pushes it in so it leaves empty space on the sides. It at least has a consistent color palette through it. Whereas this one here, it's just like a lot of blues and reds, and I see some green hidden in there, and then you got a lot of flesh tones, and you got silver, and then you get the designs. It's just incredibly, I don't know, it looks like static in a way. So I'm not thrilled with it. I wasn't super thrilled with the new Last Jedi poster either. It's just at least it was an improvement over the Force Awakens poster. But again, posters nowhere near as important as the trailers themselves. And the trailer is spectacular. I cannot wait. Oh gosh, it's so hard to say. You know what? I'm going to say it. I am more excited right now for Black Panther than I am for Avengers Infinity War. Now, that might be because I haven't seen like the legit full trailer for Infinity War yet. Maybe my tune will change once I see the trailer for Infinity War. It probably will. But as of this moment, this trailer has made me more excited for Black Panther than I am for Infinity War. So I'm super stoked about it. And I've been seeing a bunch of you guys in there. Yeah, like the man in the chat board is saying, wait until the Infinity War poster drops. Yes, I totally agree with that. It will make sense. We'll probably change my tune. Now we got pre-retcon Beyonder in the chat board is saying the song was horrible in the Black Panther trailer. You know what? I'm going to disagree with you. Music, song selection in trailers is a very, very tricky thing. It really is. For whatever reason, to me, I thought the song in the trailer worked great. Now, I don't know if it's a song I would listen to on its own. Maybe it's a terrible song. But I got to say, for me, inside the trailer, it worked. I thought it worked for me in the trailer. So I'll leave it at that. So really, guys, the question is here. What do you think about the Black Panther poster? What do you think about the Black Panther trailer? Do you think one is better than the other? How do you think this new trailer compares to the first trailer? Jump down into the comments section and leave me your thoughts. And do you think I will completely change my tune about looking more forward to Black Panther than Infinity War once the actual Infinity War poster and trailer drops? Jump in the comments section and let me know what you guys think. All right, let's move on now to the next item of movie news on a more serious note. Obviously, there's a lot of nonsense going on and a lot of turmoil regarding the ass clown that is Harvey Weinstein. And it has brought up the question lately. I've had a few people actually email into me saying, how will this damage the Weinstein Company? Do you think they'll change the name? What's going to be going on with it? And an interesting story I read on CNN this morning is that it looks like the Weinstein Company is positioning itself to sell. It looks like the remaining owners of the Weinstein Company, because they've given Harvey Weinstein the boot. Harvey Weinstein is no longer associated with the Weinstein Company, other than the fact that obviously he has family in it, but they kicked him out. So now the remaining owners apparently are looking to not only reposition the company, they're looking to sell the company. And that is key. Now, I thought for a little while that perhaps what they would do is just rebrand the company. At minimum, they had to rebrand. Even if some of the owners are still named Weinstein, you cannot have your company. It's just not a good business move to have your company named Weinstein. I'm going to use an example of extreme hyperbole here, okay? This is just hyperbole, but it's like if, I don't know, Adolf Hitler's distant cousins still survive today and they had like Hitler's home cleaning service. You can't do that. It might be your family name. You might have nothing to do with what your distant relative did, and might not be your fault, but it's just a bad business move to still have that name. And right now in Hollywood, the Weinstein name is a pariah name. You gotta kind of avoid it. You gotta get away from it. And so I thought at the very minimum, what they would probably do is want to rebrand the company, call it Starlight Productions or something along those lines. I don't know. Gem and the Hologram Pictures, for all I care. Even Gem and the Hologram Motion Pictures would be a more pliable name right now than the Weinstein Company. But apparently it's more than that. Apparently they feel like what's really needed is to sell the company to new ownership. And there is a new potential owner. His last name's Barack. It's not Barack Obama. The last name of the potential new owner's name is Barack. I can't remember his first name. But apparently, he's already putting out statements, as if he's going to be taking over the company, saying things like, this company needs to be restored to its former glory, to its rightful place in the independent film community. And look, for every legitimate negative thing there is to say about Harvey Weinstein right now, the role that the Weinstein Company has played in really furthering some very good independent film over the past, lot of years, that doesn't go away. I mean, that's true. And it would be a shame if this company and the role it plays in Hollywood were to absolutely disappear. But I think minimum name change, and I think the potential new owner was acknowledging they'd probably do a name change, new ownership, just clear the history out, like on your computer, just go clear out your search history, clear out your cache, do all that kind of stuff. Just get rid of all that. Take a breath, reposition yourself again in the industry, and then move forward from there. I think at the very minimum that needs to happen. Now, that does raise the debate and the question about, and this is a tricky thing, and I don't even know if I'm not qualified to even comment on this, but some people have asked, so I'll give an opinion. Some people are asking and saying things like, well, John, the fact of the matter is, you can't believe for a second that people in the Weinstein Company didn't know what Harvey Weinstein was doing, and therefore the whole company should burn down. And I will say this. If that assumption, and that's just an assumption, if that assumption is true, that everybody in leadership in the Weinstein Company knew exactly what Harvey Weinstein was doing and they just didn't do anything about it, then yeah, the company should probably just burn to the ground and get rid of it. But look, you have family members. I have family members. I don't know everything about what they do. If somebody wants to keep something private and hidden and secret, like I've got a brother in Hamilton who I love, but I don't know what he does every day. I don't know what he does in and out of every day. I've got 2 sisters in Hamilton. I don't know what they do each and every day. To me, they're the most wonderful people in the world. For all I know, my sister Sandy is selling heroin out of the back of a pickup truck to school kids. I mean, I don't know. Sandy is not doing that. But I'm just saying, I mean, and the reality is, you've got family members, you don't know what they're doing. I just think it's dangerous to make those types of assumptions. Because those are dangerous assumptions. Because, I gotta believe, and maybe I am dead wrong. But I gotta believe if, some of the other senior ownership of Weinstein Company knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing, they would know what you're doing could destroy my business, you idiot. And you would think they would, for their own greed, for their own sense of self-preservation, that they would want to put their foot down and stop it. Again, I don't want to make an assumption of innocence. I don't want to make an assumption of guilt. I'm just going to go on the assumption. I'm going to believe the best about something until I'm proved otherwise. I'm going to assume they didn't know anything about it. They may be suspected, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely dead wrong about that. I don't know. But at this point, without there being any, further stuff coming out, I think it would be good for the Weinstein Company to be bought by new ownership, sweep out the old, rebrand the company, and let it move forward from there and see what it can do and see if it can make a positive influence in Hollywood from now moving forward. Look, the reality is I am completely unqualified to even comment on this. The damage done and the scope of what was done and how horrific everything is what was done, I mean, it can't be measured. And I may even regret saying that the company shouldn't burn to the ground. Maybe I'll regret that in 2 months. I don't know. I just acknowledge right now I am as torn and confused. And I mean, with Harvey being gone and out, what to do with the company now is a big question. And I'm sure everybody has some very passionate opinions. Mine is probably 100% wrong. But we will see how we'll probably get a better, and this whole issue will come more into focus the further we get away from it and we're able to see it a little bit more clearly. For now, I'm just like anybody else. I'm a not informed enough opinion. That's what mine is. My opinion on this is a not informed enough opinion. So who knows? We'll have to see what we all think about this moving forward. All right, let's move on now to the best part of the show, which is the part of the show where you guys send in the topics and questions. Let's get on now to the first question. And the first question today comes to us from Monica Bernard, who writes, I just watched your video earlier about why Blade Runner is hurting at the box office. At 2 hours and 42 minutes, isn't it possible that the length of the film causing fewer screenings could also be a contributing factor to the box office hurting? Love your show. Well, thank you so much for the question, Monica. And for those of you who don't know, I did put up a video yesterday about the real reason that Blade Runner 2049 is kind of tanking at the box office. And there are many contributing factors for sure. I think the fact that it was kind of marketed as an art piece may have turned some people off. The fact that this is over a 30-year-old franchise is a little too late is a contributing factor, not denying that. Maybe even the runtime itself just turned some people off. That's a contributing factor. My major premise, though, in the video that I put up yesterday, I encourage you to go and check it out, was that basically this. If you saw Blade Runner 2049, you know what the movie's about. And you also know that none of the posters, none of the billboards, none of the TV commercials, and none of the trailers ever even remotely told or suggested to the audience, the consumers, what this movie was going to be about. They basically just said, hey guys, we're putting in a movie. Come see it. Well, what's your movie about? Oh, we can't tell you that. Just trust us. Plop down your $25 and come see it. And consumers won't do that. And I go more into detail in the video. Check the video and let me know what you think. But I had a number of people write to me, and Monica is only one of them. I had at least a dozen people, whether it's on Facebook, on Twitter, or email, or in the comment section, write to me and say, well, John, clearly the runtime of the movie, when you have a movie that long, that means the theaters can have fewer screenings. And with fewer screenings, it was going to make less money. And so a lot of people, there's this belief out there that the runtime equaling fewer screenings is why Blade Runner isn't doing well at the box office. And look, all film is subjective and everything, but that is actually completely not true. And here's why that is not true. That the runtime equaling fewer screenings is why Blade Runner made less money. That only applies, that logic of there were fewer screenings, so therefore it makes less money, that only applies if the existing screenings are selling out and people don't have an option of another screening. That's the only time that applies. Like when The Force Awakens came out, a lot of people are saying the movie would have made even more money on its opening weekend had movie theaters been able to facilitate even more screenings, but they pretty much already had all their screens running around the clock. There were no more screenings to be had. So there were still people who would have gone to see it opening day, but couldn't see it opening day because there were no available screenings with some empty seats. That is not the case with Blade Runner 2049. People were not lining up around the block to go see it. The existing screenings had plenty of empty seats. You know, it's made $60 million domestically over 2 weeks. That means maybe you were in a screening that was full to capacity. That's great. But at, making $30 million on your opening weekend, that means most theaters were not full. So if people wanted to see Blade Runner 2049, they could have. It's not a matter of there not being extra screenings to facilitate the big demand of all the people coming in to see it. So the fact that this was a good movie with a great premise, I think was undermined and submarined by the fact that their marketing refused. They didn't show respect to the consumers. The marketing for Blade Runner 2049 did not show respect to their customers, which is, you're asking me to put down money to come see your film. You should at least damn well better tell me what your film's even basically about. Don't just show me fancy pictures and, ooh, look at the art. Look at this steampunk vibe of this. Ooh, doesn't this look good? Well, what's your movie about? Anyway, I go more into detail in the video. Go check out the video if you have a comment on that. Leave me your thought there. But no, the notion that there weren't enough screenings hurting the box office, I really don't think that is, I don't think that's an applicable factor. All right, I'm going to try to rush through a bunch more now so we can get to the live Twitter questions. Next question up comes to us from one of my Patreon supporters, Corey Leach. And Corey Leach writes, will movie theaters ever genuinely crack down on cell phone use? I can't remember the last time I went where someone in front of me wasn't texting, Facebooking, or even Snapchatting portions of the movie. It seems to be getting worse as time goes on, and I'm curious if the theaters will ever truly enforce this to protect the movie-going experience. Thanks a lot for the question, Corey. And you know what? Let me take a second, since Corey is one of my Patreon supporters. Let me put in my little commercial break here and do my daily shameless plug of my Patreon page. As many of you guys know, I no longer work for a corporation. I decided to leave the corporate world. I don't collect those corporate paychecks anymore. And I decided to do this on my own. That requires me to do it full time. And I'm only able to do that and make these videos every day because of the generous support of my Patreon supporters. Listen, if you're one of the people who enjoys watching my videos and you spend much time every month watching my videos, do me a favor, check out www.patreon.com/John Campea. There's a whole bunch of information there about what it means to become one of my Patreon supporters, what being a Patreon supporter of mine does for this channel, and maybe then you will consider being one of my Patreon supporters. And if you do, that's awesome. And if you don't, that is totally fine too. I'm just happy you're here being a part of the show. Okay, now let's get to the question. If you are somebody who uses your cell phone in a movie, you are an ass clown. Okay, there's no other way to put it. You're an ass clown. I'm sure in some other areas of your life, you're a nice person, I guess. But at your core, you are an ass clown. You are a self-centered, obnoxious jerk who is oblivious to the fact that I'm just going to do what I want and I don't care if it bothers everybody else around me. Screw you. I hate you. So that is true. Now, but I will say that I can only speak from my own experience, okay? Because you know how much I hate people who use their phones in movies. But I will only speak from my own experience. My experience has been a little bit opposite of yours in that I find that less and less I'm seeing people using their cell phones in movie theaters. I've actually found the situation improving to now. It's to the point that maybe only 1 out of every 3 or 4 times I go to the movies, I see it happen. And maybe it differs from town to town. Maybe a town like Los Angeles, which is a very movie-centric kind of city, maybe they're more sensitive to that here. Maybe the average movie-going audience in LA is more sensitive to that, so they don't do it. Maybe in Idaho, that is not a movie-centric town, maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe people are a little bit more liberal with their phones. Movie theaters have started to use those little public service announcements like, reminder folks, please put your phone away. I was in this theater once though, that was great. I was in this theater where they still do it where just before a movie starts, one of the staff comes out and says, hey everybody, thank you for coming to our theater tonight. This is such and such movie. It runs such and such length of time. And they actually said this. And you know how everybody always leaves a movie going, there is that one jerk in the movie theater using the phone? Please don't be that jerk. And they said it like that and everybody laughed and they left and nobody used a phone. It was great. I do think movie theaters, I think those little NSAs at the beginning that they play at the beginning of a movie is helpful. Saying, hey, please put your phone away, blah, blah. But I think you literally need to have a staff person come out or make an NSA or a PSA that goes up on the screen that says, just flat out, has somebody's face on the screen going, hey, look, if you take out your phone and use it during the movie, you're an ass. Don't be an ass. Something like that, just be more direct. It would be good, but it sucks that you're having that problem worse and worse where you are. All I can do, though, is speak from my experience that the problem, I think, has been getting actually a little bit better, but I'm sure it varies from place to place. All right, let's move on now to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Bryan Kruse, who writes, with all the great early reaction to Thor Ragnarok, could Justice League actually get hurt by this? They come out only 2 weeks apart. What if Thor has like a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, destroys all the box office predictions, and has staying power? Could Justice League's box office take a big hit? Now, look, I took a similar question to this, I think it was yesterday. The reality is, in today's day and age, with the life cycle of movies in theaters, having Thor Ragnarok and Justice League 2 weeks separated, I think is perfectly fine. And look, let's say Thor Ragnarok gets a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, it's not going to get 95%. It'll be high. But let's say it gets 95%. And it just crushes the box office. That's great. Even if it crushes, it's still going to have roughly, in the best scenario, it's still going to take at least a 50% hit from week 1 to week 2, because everybody would have gone out to see it on opening weekend. So let's say Thor Ragnarok makes $150 million on opening weekend. Awesome. That means in its second weekend, it'll probably make around $75 million. Okay. Now you move on to its third weekend, which would be Justice League's first weekend. Thor Ragnarok will probably take roughly another 50% drop. So that $75 million is now like a $37.5 million. Justice League is not going to hurt on its opening weekend because another film is out there making $37.5 million. Justice League will be perfectly fine. If this was a case where they were back-to-back, like Spider-Man Homecoming and War for the Planet of the Apes was, like back-to-back weekends, that's trouble for both Thor Ragnarok and for Justice League. But them being 2 weeks separated, I think it's totally fine. Thor Ragnarok is going to make the majority of its bank in those first 2 weeks. By the time it hits its third weekend and Justice League is premiering, Justice League won't have anything to worry about. It'll be perfectly fine, even if Thor Ragnarok crushes it with the critics and crushes it at the box office. By its third weekend, it's going to be max maybe $40 million. $40 million. Justice League can handle another film making 40. It's not to its benefit, but it's not going to hurt it that much. So no, I think Justice League is going to be just fine. I really do. And I still think Justice League is going to make more money than Thor Ragnarok. I still believe that. Until I see otherwise, I still believe Justice League will make more money than Thor Ragnarok. All right. I'm going to just try to fly through these next few because I really want to get to the live Twitter questions. All right. Patrick Logan is writing, if the new upcoming Mary Poppins sequel, Mary Poppins Returns, performs great at the box office, do you think that we could see a reboot/sequel of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Bed Nobs and Broomsticks, etc.? Thanks. So thanks a lot for the question, man. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, I am more excited than a guy like me should be for this Mary Poppins remake. This remake, sequel, requel, whatever you want to call it. I am super stoked about this. I love Emily Blunt. I think she's great casting for this. I hope we see Julie Andrews pop up in some role in the film in one shape or another. I cannot wait to see this movie. I don't know why I'm so giddy to see it, but I totally am. If it does great, I don't know, because there's not a lot of films from that era that are as beloved or are as ingrained in us as Mary Poppins. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang's great, but not a lot of people have memories at all. I mean, there's a lot of the movie-going generation today, even like 15, 16-year-olds have seen Mary Poppins. Not a lot of them have seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. So I'm not really sure. I think Mary Poppins can be a big success. I'm not sure its success will automatically lead to studios scrambling to find other movies of its era because there's just too much difference between Mary Poppins and the other films of its era. So honestly, I'm going to say I don't think it'll make that big of a difference. I really don't. Maybe I'm dead wrong. What do you think? Jump into the comments section. Let me know your thoughts. All right. Let's move on now to the next question. And this next question comes to us from Rob Finley, who writes, in The Last Jedi trailer, Luke says he has seen this raw strength once before. Wasn't afraid enough then, but is now. Do you think it could have been a 4-year-old Rey who, in a rage and her raw power, took down Luke's academy? Luke dumped her on Jakku, and now scared as that girl has returned as an adult asking for training. Or is it simply Kylo? This is a fabulous question. I love this question because ever since we saw the new Last Jedi trailer pop up, you remember my review of it. I said, I think there's a lot of misdirection in this trailer. I think this trailer leads us to believe a lot of one thing, but actually something different is happening. And I think there's a lot of misdirect going on there. And one of the things that a bunch of people have been emailing to me is the trailer suggests to us that Luke is talking to Rey when he says, I've only seen power like this once before. I wasn't scared of it then, but I'm scared of it now. That he's talking to Rey and that he's referring to Kylo Ren. That, hey, I wasn't scared of it before, and then Kylo Ren went dark and bad, so now I'm seeing this kind of power again in you, and now I'm scared. Well, as I take a sip of my soda, a lot of people have been writing to me and asking, what if he is talking to Rey? But what if he's referring to having seen this power before? What if he's referring to a young Rey? Now, I have maintained, ever since I saw The Force Awakens, Rey is not Luke's daughter. No chance. I think The Force Awakens makes it very clear and very obvious that Rey is not Luke Skywalker's daughter. Okay. So having said, but I've always said, but that doesn't preclude the possibility that she may have a connection to Luke. Maybe she was one of the young children in Luke's care. Maybe Luke is the one who dropped her off on Jakku. Maybe what really brought down Luke's Jedi Academy wasn't Kylo Ren turning against him, but maybe it's the power of this little girl that brought down his Jedi Academy, which later emboldened, Snoke to seduce Kylo and have Kylo and his Knights of Ren then turn on Luke after the Jedi Temple was already brought. I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities. But at the core of the question is, could he be talking about Rey? Was Rey the one he had seen this power in before? Are they one in the same person that he's talking about? That is a fascinating theory to me. Absolutely fascinating. I will go so far as to say this. I will give that a solid 30% chance that that's what's happening. Normally these theories I give like a 5% chance, a 2% chance. I think this theory that Luke could be talking about Rey, solid 30% chance. Like a 1 in 3 chance I'll give it. Now, that means I still believe that he's talking about Kylo Ren. I still believe that. But this theory has a lot of merit to it. There's a lot of things that could point towards that. It would answer several other questions that we have floating in the air. And as such, like if it turns out, like I would not be willing to put money. I would not be willing. If you came up to me and said, John, I'll bet you $100 that he's not talking about Kylo Ren, I would not take that bet because I'm not sure enough. I think there's a 60% chance he's talking about Kylo Ren. I think there's a solid 30% chance in this theory that maybe he's talking about Rey and they're one and the same person. And then I think there's a 10% chance that maybe he's talking about something else. Maybe he's talking about Vader. Maybe he's talking about, I saw the power in Vader and I didn't fear it because I knew he was my father. I knew I could get through to him. Maybe I was naive, but I think there's a 10% chance that he's talking either about the Emperor or he's talking about Vader or something else. 30% or 60% Kylo Ren, 30% Rey, 10% either Vader or the Emperor or Yoda or somebody else. And we'll see how that actually all shakes out. Thanks a lot for the question, man. What do you think? What do you think about this theory? Do you think that he could be talking about Rey? Jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. All right, let's move on now to the next question. And the next question comes to us, and this is the final question before we go to the live Twitter questions. S. McFirefly, that's a great name. S. McFirefly writes, John, I love the channel. Thank you so much. I love it too. I watch it religiously. Question, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest Oscar snubs that come to mind? To me, Michael Keaton's Birdman is up there, as it was one of the finest performances I had ever seen, and I thought he was a sure thing. When I think about it, I still get kind of angry that he was snubbed. Well, thanks a lot for the question, man. Before I talk about my biggest snub, let me address yours. Michael Keaton was my pick to win Best Actor that year. He was my pick. If I was a voting member, I would have voted for him. However, I refuse to use the word snub. I do not think he was snubbed. I think the only way you can use, the only proper way, I think people use the word snub way too liberally. I think people throw around the word snub just to mean the person they thought should have won didn't win. And snub is a much more severe word. Snub to me is only a word you should use when it is clear and obvious and beyond doubt that the wrong person did not win. You know, that's when you should use the word snub. And while Michael Keaton was also my pick, Eddie Redmayne in The Theory of Everything was way too good to call his win a snub of Michael Keaton. It was too close. Again, Michael Keaton was my pick too, but to say that Michael Keaton was snubbed suggests that Eddie Redmayne and his performance in The Theory of Everything had no business whatsoever winning, and I cannot agree with that. Eddie Redmayne was effing spectacular in The Theory of Everything. He was nothing short of spectacular in that movie. Again, I think Michael Keaton was even better. I would have given it to Michael Keaton, but it wasn't like it was Michael Keaton here, Eddie Redmayne over here. No, it was like Michael Keaton here, Eddie Redmayne here. It was close. And that's why I have no problem with the fact that I was disappointed Michael Keaton didn't win. But I have no problem with Eddie Redmayne taking it home because Eddie Redmayne was effing spectacular in that movie. And you cannot make a legitimate argument that Eddie Redmayne had absolutely no business winning that award. You can't make that argument. I mean, it's all subjective and it absolutely is. But I think to again say that Michael Keaton was flat out snubbed for that award is to suggest that Eddie Redmayne had no business winning it. And yeah, Michael Keaton was my pick, but Eddie Redmayne did have a legitimate claim. He had a legit case to make for him getting, and more people voted for him and he won it. So there you go. To me, a couple of the biggest snubs ever. Number one was when, even though I hate the prequels, The Phantom Menace not winning Best Visual Effects was a snub. I will use the word a snub. That was Hollywood turning up its nose to George Lucas because George Lucas has turned up his nose to Hollywood many times. And The Matrix, hey look, Matrix was a better movie than The Phantom Menace, but the category wasn't better movie. The category was best visual effects. Yes, The Matrix had very good visual effects, but I'm sorry. I'm somebody who hates the Phantom Menace, and I will tell you that the Phantom Menace, as somebody who's worked in visual effects as my career for a number of years, I will tell you right now, the Phantom Menace was so far light years ahead of what The Matrix was doing and what The Matrix did. The Phantom Menace broke new ground that had never been done before in like 20 different ways. There is no way in hell the Phantom Menace should not have won for Best Visual Effects that year. That, to me, was Hollywood sending a message to George Lucas, sending the message that you snubbed us for so many years, we're going to snub you back. And I honestly, I think that's what happened. And that to me is the biggest snub in Oscar history, from my point of view at any rate. Okay, guys, with all those questions out of the way now, I am now going to go to the Twitter board to take the questions from you guys who are watching live, and I'm going to take your live questions now. And we are going to start off the live questions. Again, I have no time to actually, screen these, so forgive me if some stupid ones come up. All right, the first question I'm going to go to is this. John, this comes from Chemical One, who I like the way you do that with your name, Chemical. Okay, Chemical One writes, John, do you think that Black Panther has a soul gem because of his ability to talk to the past Panthers? Well, right now, we don't know what abilities he has in the movie. We have not seen him in the movie universe talk to past Panthers. Just because that might have happened in another medium doesn't necessarily mean that's happening in the movie. Unless there was something in the trailer that I missed, we don't know for a fact that he has that ability. It would suck, though, if yet another Infinity Stone was also on Earth. Because that would make, 4 of them? Had ended like the Tesseract, the one from Thor Dark World was there. Then there would be this one, the Soul one. Just too many. Why do all these Infinity Stones, all of them wind up on Earth? So I'm going to guess no, but you never know. They may want to add another connecting point between Black Panther and the rest of the MCU by saying another one of the Infinity Stones is there. It's possible, but I don't see it yet at this point. All right, the next question comes to us from Mr. Yasman300. John, did you get a chance to watch The Foreigner? I did not. I still have not had a chance to watch The Foreigner. My weekend got very busy. I watched a number of films. I had a whole bunch of videos to make yesterday. I then went over to my brother-in-law's yesterday, Ray. I went over to Ray and Ryan's place yesterday. Watched some football. So no, I have not had a chance to see The Foreigner yet, which is really sucks. So I've been probably more excited about that movie opening up this weekend than any other movie opening up this weekend. So I'm going to try. I can't do it tonight because I have another screening. I can't do it tomorrow night because I'm going to watch Thor again. Maybe Wednesday. Maybe by Wednesday I'll have a chance to get out to see it, but I'm really disappointed that I haven't. You know what? No, I've got some time tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to try to go watch it tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to go try to watch the Foreigner tomorrow afternoon. So maybe by Wednesday's show, I'll be able to give you guys my thoughts on that. All right, let's try this one. This one comes to us from AClay19. John, is it harder to critique a film's direction or its script? Well, it's more difficult to critique the script simply because you don't see the script. Like, you see the direction. It's more plain in front of you. So, you can tell whether script is good or bad when you're watching a movie, but it's easier to kind of gauge and critique the direction. I think for anybody, not just for film critics. I think for the average film fan, it's easier to critique the direction, which makes it another reason why being a director is incredibly hard. It's easier to critique that than the script. All right, let's go on to this one here. CM Parsons writes, have you ever walked out of a movie or asked the theater for your money back, and what has disappointed you? Well, I have walked out of three films. Might be 4, but I can remember only 3 films. Out of the thousands of times that I've gone to the movie theater, I've walked out 3 times. One was for the Jennifer Connelly movie Dark Water. That movie was just terrible. 2 was for that Johnny Knoxville movie, The Ringer. I get it that the movie was supposed to, in its own way, supposed to be humanizing and empowering special needs athletes, like for the Special Olympian athletes and stuff like that. I understand that's what they were going for. But I got really uncomfortable with the movie because I kind of felt like they were just mocking special athletes. And I understand that's probably not what they were intending. I get that's not what they are intending, but they did a really bad job of it to the point that as an audience member, I just felt that they were mocking people with special needs, and I got really uncomfortable with it. And I got up and walked out after about 40 minutes. I couldn't take it anymore. So there's that. Again, I'm not judging what their intent was, because maybe I'm just going to assume their intent was pure and good. But I just got really uncomfortable with this because I thought they were doing a bad job of it, and it came across the wrong way to me. So I walked out of The Ringer, and I also walked out of movie 43, which I think almost everybody walked out of. That movie was just it wasn't offending me. It was just unrelentingly awful to the point that I just couldn't take it. I think I hung in there for about 30 minutes. And me and my buddy Sol, who's the CFO over at the Fine Brothers, me and him went to watch it, and there was me, him, and 2 other people in the movie theater. And we watched it, and after about 30 minutes, I said, dude, let's get out of here. He goes, Campea, I paid for my movie ticket. And I'm like, okay, dude, you enjoy. I can't take this anymore. And I got up and left. So those are the 3 movies that I have walked out of. I've never asked for my money back. Because to me, unless they play the wrong movie or unless the projector breaks down, I understand going to see a movie. It's a bit of a risk. I'm taking a bit of a chance that I'm hoping this movie will be good. So I don't fault anybody else who asks for their money back. I don't ask for my money back because most of the time it works out. Sometimes I get kind of burned a little bit. All right, let's go on to the next one. And the next one, Jeannie Judd writes, John, Rey has to be somebody because so many hints. Otherwise, why would they highlight her understanding Chewie? The Force. I mean, the Force does a lot. She's somebody. Sure, she's somebody. But she doesn't have to be somebody's kid. She has parents, but I still don't believe her parents are going to be of anything. I think, remember, Jedis, for the entire history of the Star Wars universe, Jedis were not born from other Jedis. The Jedi had the Jedi Code, which forbid them from having their own kids. So Jedis were just people born Force sensitive. I don't think she has to be related to anybody. So I still stand by that. Let's see here. The next question comes to us from Lord Jurassic, who writes, John, do you think there is a possibility that Snoke is Anakin's father? No. Because if they do, I'll throw a fit. And I'm sure a lot of Star Wars fans too. You don't go trampling on existing canon. And existing canon, as much as I hate the prequels, all right, the prequels are still canon. And canon has to mean something or it means nothing. And in the prequels, they said there was no father. So you can't just go now tromping on canon. If you do, then nothing means anything in canon anymore. So I would really hope that they don't. Plus, it doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't really make any sense. So no, I do not think. I've seen a lot of people with that theory that maybe Snoke is Anakin's father. I don't see it, and I don't buy it. Let's see. CSC or Preen writes, John, will we ever get a Jackass 4? You know what? I didn't even like Jackass 1 or 2 that much. And then I love Jackass 3. It's not all that different from 1 or 2, but for whatever reason, I love Jackass 3. I hope so. You know what? I believe I've heard whispers about a possible Jackass 3. Or 4, I should say. I believe I've heard whispers about that. I'd say 50% chance. I think there's a solid 50% chance that we will get a Jackass 3. 4. I keep saying 3. All right, the next question comes from Hen1996 Hendern, who writes, John, do you think we'll see a Kick-Ass 3 or Hit Girl spinoff? Because I love the first Kick-Ass, and it's in my top 3 comic book movies. I don't think so. Kick-Ass 2 did even worse at the box office than Kick-Ass 1 did. Plus, Hit Girl is no longer Hit Girl. She would be Hit Woman at this point. So that novelty, that cuteness of Hit Girl being this little girl, that's gone out the window now. I believe there was a chance for it to happen had Kick-Ass 2 been better. Kick-Ass 2, man, really missed Big Daddy. If any movie should have resurrected a character, it probably was Kick-Ass 2. That movie needed Big Daddy. You felt the missing piece of Big Daddy in that movie, and that element and that dimension that he brought to the first Kick-Ass, I think it really hurt it. Didn't do so well, so I would not hold my breath, honestly, for a Kick-Ass 2, or a Kick-Ass 3, I should say. All right, this next one comes from Trevor Valentine, who writes, John, after Infinity War, where would you like to see Hawkeye or Black Widow go? Still in the MCU? Do you care? Yeah, look, I've said for a long time, I have no desire to see either a Hawkeye or a Black Widow standalone movie. I think they're wonderful supporting characters. I love seeing them in supporting roles in the rest of the MCU. My hope is that they continue to pop up in a lot of different movies in their role. I just don't have any desire to see either of them in their own movie. That's just my opinion. A lot of other people may have a different opinion. Okay, next question comes to us from Visuals Byantine, who writes, John, When will the Justice League tickets go on sale? Also, how will Warner Brothers announce it? It doesn't really matter. I mean, I've had a whole bunch of people going, John, what's wrong? Justice League tickets haven't gone on sale yet. What's wrong? And it's like, well, nothing's wrong. 99% of movies don't put their tickets on sale a month in advance. I mean, the tickets will go on sale when they go on sale. Don't read anything into it. I'm sure everything's perfectly fine. If they had put the Justice League tickets on sale already, that doesn't mean anything good. By not putting Justice League tickets on sale yet, that doesn't mean anything bad. Who cares? They'll go on sale when they go on sale. I mean, look, I respect that you care. So I respect that. But I do find it a little bit odd that I've been getting so many emails from people. John, why haven't the Justice League tickets gone on sale? Why? Well, I don't know. Who cares? It makes no difference. If the tickets went on sale today, it doesn't mean I get to see the movie tomorrow. I still don't get to see it until 2 weeks after Thor Ragnarok. Which, what would that be? That would be November 17th? Is that when it opens? November 17th? Anyway, I won't be able to see it until November 17th, regardless if the tickets open, we're on sale today or 3 weeks from now. Doesn't matter. So let's just all take a breath. I'm sure they'll go on sale soon, and then we'll get them at that time. All right, I'm just going to take a couple more here. Let's see. Dark Zach writes, John, what do you think of how the Flash... the Thinker looks like? I'm not quite sure what it is you're asking. Sorry about that. Let's see. CSCO Preen writes, John, thoughts on Jeremy Johns leaving Collider, or is he? Yeah, look, Jeremy, when Jeremy came down from Seattle, it was a tricky thing to do because he really loves home like I love home. I love Hamilton, Ontario. If it wasn't the fact that I married a girl here, I would have gone home and left LA a long time ago. I love LA, but Hamilton is home. But I have a wife here now. So, I mean, I'm here still. And, you know, I think we all knew that Jeremy coming down to LA was going to be a temporary thing. Whether that temporary meant 1 year, whether it meant 2 years, or whether it meant 3 years, we were all pretty sure it was going to be a temporary thing. So wasn't surprised at all by his decision to go back to Seattle. That's his home. He loves home. That's where he's comfortable. Totally makes sense. And, you know, he came down, did a year here. I think he had a positive experience. Oh, I know he had a positive experience. And now he's going home. So, you know what? Good for him. I'm a little bit jealous because I would love to go home. But I can't. All right. So the next question comes to us from Will the Rooster, who writes, John, do you think The Last Jedi has a shot at surpassing Force Awakens and Rogue One at the worldwide box office? Maybe even passing Avatar worldwide? No. It will pass Rogue One. That I have no doubt. But will it pass Force Awakens? No. There was too much magic with the return of Star Wars, not just it literally returning, but returning from the awfulness of the prequels and re-emerging again and celebrating all the things that are truly Star Wars. It was all of that rolled into one. The Last Jedi is going to be stupid successful. Stupid successful. But I do not think it will beat The Force Awakens. And it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to beat The Force Awakens. That's totally fine. It's going to make $1.7, $1.8, $1.9 billion. It'll be perfectly fine. Everybody at Disney and Lucasfilm will be laughing all the way to the bank. I just think you can't recreate that perfect storm that the first one had. So no, I don't foresee that happening. Okay, let's take the last question of the day as I reload the tweets here. Let's see. Let's go with this last one here. Elijah, who writes, John, should studios buy failed franchises from another studio and reboot them because they understand the problem now? It really depends. It depends on the situation. Let's take a situation like Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is now a damaged property. It's a damaged IP. And while it's fine that you and I live in these circles where we keep on top of all the movie news, we understand what it would mean if Marvel got Fantastic Four back from Fox at this point, did their own thing. We would know that that means something totally new and totally different, right? But 90% of the average movie-going audience is not us. To them, it would just be another Fantastic Four movie. The last number of them have all sucked. And so Fantastic Four is a damaged property. But every property is different, and every property comes with its own unique set of baggage. So I can't give one blanket answer to say, for all failed franchises, this can happen. It's all unique with every single different situation. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been fun, and thanks to all you guys who've been in the chat board, and thanks for you guys who are watching not live as well. Listen, guys, don't forget, while you're here, and if you enjoy these videos, click the thumbs up button on this video. That helps me out a lot. Leave a comment. Remember, we're all friends. We're all on the same side. Even when we debate and disagree and argue, we're all film and television fans together. Let's remember that as we're discussing and leaving our comments in the section below. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click that subscription button, and also click that little bell, that notification button, to make sure you know every time I put up new videos. That will do it for me, guys. I'll be back a little bit later today with even more videos. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.